Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him stand. All they wanna say.
Hello, Panjus and Bonani. Welcome to Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, more especially under these circumstances. So this network has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. I am Dr. Riel Nkunene, and I'm going to be your host for today. So if you're watching us online, please feel free to drop in the chat box where you're watching us from and what you hope to gain from our podcast. Today, we are surrounded by greatness in the World Wide Web. We have amazing speakers who's going to share some nuggets on rise to greater heights, how to rise to greater heights. So I believe in Texas, we have Alexis Liggins. And in Chicago, we have Elizabeth Plancon. In Australia, we have David Gistalite. And in Phoenix, Arizona, we have Angela Gomez. So at this moment, I'm just going to let our speakers to introduce themselves. You can go ahead, Alexis.
Hi, everyone. My name's Alexis Liggins, and so I am an Afro-Latina. So I grew up with a Mexican family, and I'm here to change women of color's lives as the leaders that they are.
See, I've just butchered your first name, but it's all good. It's all good. Alexis, it's an honor to have you.
The Lexus car, and you put an E in front of it.
Right. Okay. It makes sense now. That's perfect. That's perfect. It's an honor to have you, Alexis, and I'm looking forward to hear more of your message today. Thank you for being with us. You can go ahead, Elizabeth, and please introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And don't worry, everyone says my last name wrong, so no worries there. My name is Elizabeth Planson, and I am an intuitive soul purpose activator, spiritual mentor, and healer. And so I really have found my purpose in helping others become activated in their soul gifts, their soul purpose, letting go of all of the learned behaviors, limiting beliefs, blocks that are holding them back from living the best life possible that they're meant to, while also making the impact that they're here to make.
Oh, wow. What an honor. What an honor to have you. And you wearing many, many different hats. It means that we should expect more from you. I'm just kidding. It's an honor to have you, Elizabeth. And really, I'm looking forward to hear more of your message. Thank you for being with us. You can go ahead, David, down there in Australia, and please introduce yourself.
Hello and welcome, and thank you so much for having me on the podcast show. I am actually an African Australian. I grew up in South Africa, so I'm very I've got a real African spirit in me, but I'm very much Australian as well, so I wear many hats. African Australia, I am on the east side of Australia along the Great Barrier Reef, so also tropical Australia. Many people don't know that Australia is so big and there's lots of different parts which are like where I live along the Great Barrier Reef is very different from Sydney life, for instance. It's not a city at all. And my childhood, I guess I went through so much pain, so that's why I'm on the show. And that was physical pain, emotional enmeshment, and lots of trauma and the like. And I work mainly with sensitive people. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm also a healer, like Elizabeth. And I also wear many hats, as I said before. So I'm really delighted to be on the show and look forward to sharing more with you all.
Oh, wow. Wow. It's an honor to have you, David. So you're South African, Australian. I love that. Australian, South African, either way, but that's who you are, and you wear those different hats. And I'm looking forward to hear more about your journey and to hear more of your message. And thank you for being with us today. Thank you, David. You can go ahead, Angela, and please introduce yourself.
Yes. So hi, everybody. My name is Angela. I'm pretty much the coach that's going to help expand you and activate you and help remind you of your God-given talents. I work with a lot of powerful women who are like the rule breakers, the change makers, and like the black sheep of their family. Who, exactly, who, they don't really fit in the 9 to 5 world, and they have like this inner wisdom that they really want to express. And sometimes they kind of just get lost with the systems and with how a business how to run a business. And so when I work with women, I really help activate their wealth codes and shift their identity and help them build a business that feels good, and combining both the masculine and the feminine. So I'm excited to be here and elaborate a little bit more on that.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Such a powerhouse. Like really, really. Angela, you're just taking it home. Really. I'm looking forward to hear more of your message. And wow, it's such a powerhouse here. And to our audience online, you know what? Just buckle up because yes, we've got this. The flight is just about to take off and it's happening right now. Wow, wow. So Alexis, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. If you happen to have your own billboard, what will your billboard say and where is it gonna be?
Yeah, that's such a good question. If I were to have a billboard, it would be in a man's world, lead with dark feminine energy and live with light feminine energy. That would be everywhere. There's no limit for where that is because that is the opposite way that men lead. And so we need to lead like that, but still have our softness.
I love that. I love the energy, the feminine energy. Sorry, David, but yeah, I love it. I love it. Wow, such a profound, profound, much needed billboard. How about you, Elizabeth? Maybe your billboard is already down there in the busy, busy highway in Chicago. We don't know. What would it say?
Well, in Chicago, there's just Brian Urlacher's billboards, and you probably won't get that unless you're familiar with who he is. He's a football player, but it's a joke with Chicagoans. But anyway, I think my billboard would be "You were born for greatness, and there is no limit." And I don't really know where it would be other than, what I just saw when you asked that was like it's visible from outer space because my work is very multidimensional. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
What a, okay, what a profound billboard. I believe like your billboard and Alexa's billboard, they kind of resonate. So I don't know what billboard will David have? David, what will your billboard say? And where is it gonna be? Is it South Africa? Is it Australia? What will your billboard say?
I'm going to go ahead and put my billboard on the moon so everyone can see it. Not the dark side of the moon, but the light side. And my billboard is going to say, "You are not broken. Your sensitivity is your superpower. Your pain is the beginning of your awakening."
Oh, wow. Just drop the mic, David. Wow, you are not broken. I just love that one alone. You are not broken. So you say your what is your superpower?
Your pain is your sensitivity is your superpower.
Your sensitivity is your superpower. You are not broken. It
Uh,
was I can't remember his name, but he once said, all broken crayons, they still cry, they still color, they still cry. And so you are not broken. You are just one of those crayons. You can still bring that color in that paper. Wow, wow, what a profound billboard. How about you, Angela? What will a billboard say?
Yeah, if I were to have a billboard, it would say something that God didn't give you a vision to stay broke or hidden. You know what to do.
God didn't give you a vision to stay broken. You know what? You've got this. It's all within it. Actually, it's a mindset thing. It's a mindset thing. Once you shift that mindset, you will realize that you've got everything around you. You've got everything
Absolutely.
around you to achieve your potential. Wow, what a profound billboard. I actually love all the billboards. So I believe mine will be the fifth billboard driving down the highway, and it's gonna say what? The sky is no longer the limit, but now the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. And it's definitely coming. So we're going to get started. We're going to get started where we have Alexis Liggins. Alexis Liggins is a lifestyle upgrade coach for high impact women of color and the visionary behind the Unapologetic Elevation Accelerator, which is a premium coaching experience helping women recalibrate their standards, identity, and lifestyle so they can live like their vacation self every damn day. Known for her bold blend of soft power, sacred sisterhood, and spicy self-honoring, Alexa's help powerful women stop performing success and start embodying alignment. Her signature settle proof method guides women of color leaders from burnout and overgiving into a first class life rooted in rest, rhythm, and real joy. After navigating toxic relationships, emotional burnout, and the pressure of always being the strong one, Alexis chose a new standard: is as the default, not the reward. She now coaches women who look like they have it all, but no, there is more. Whether she's speaking on identity, emotional leadership, or living unbothered and well paid, Alexa's leaves audiences activated, affirmed, and ready to rise. I will add to rise to greater heights. So, kings and queens, please join me and welcome Alexis Liggins.
Thank you. Is it my turn to share my piece?
Take it away, Alexis.
Oh, thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. So I want to talk about going from burnout to brilliance. And in order to do that, I want to walk you through what happened 3 years ago. 3 years ago at 3 a.m. in the morning, I know, crazy hot night owl hours, I was Googling personal values on my laptop. Not because I was looking for another job, but because I didn't really know who I was anymore. It was a very rocky period of my life at that time. And what happened here is that as a Afro Latina, right, growing up and being raised in a Mexican household, I learned that rest had to be earned and I had to work very hard for it. So the hustle, the grind every day, that was the mentality, what we call the girl boss era, which is now done. And we know that mental health challenges in women of color communities, you got to push through that. You have to push through that. That needs to be put on the back burner. We got to focus. We got to move forward. And as a result of that, even embracing what I liked, what I enjoyed, and what really sparked my life, that wasn't important. That didn't matter either, because I had to focus on what I had to do, on what I should do to be successful no matter what. That was the biggest important piece. And so you can imagine that life caught up to me really quickly when I was living unaligned and not with myself. And it was hard. So I experienced burnout like everybody does at some point in their life. But this time, I experienced a monster level of burnout. It was horrible. It was the rock bottom of burnout. What does that mean? I had three different aspects of my life that collided with each other like a domino effect. It was my professional life, it was my social life, and it was my inner world. One by one, it knocked all the dominoes until the last one fell on the table and it just collapsed my life. And so I call it the monster level of burnout because it's the part that's the most difficult to rebuild from because you have to start from scratch. And professionally, what was going on is that I was working at a nonprofit. I had the classic cycle of nonprofit being overworked, underpaid, and overwhelmed, which naturally leads to burnout. I was working with my boss. We were the only two paid employees. And everyone else, they were volunteers. We were hustling for our fundraiser and so on and so forth. And it was really, really exhausting. I even wanted to quit the week before the event. It was that bad. But my boss was like, no, please don't do it. And I didn't do it. We made it. Personally, it was a whole nother story. Behind closed doors, nobody knew what was going on in my life. But I unintentionally opened my unresolved childhood wounds. So as you know, from the hustle life and going through and having the success, but not having the happiness, I've had to focus on having a successful life and having the accomplishments and the milestones. So I had to neglect the unresolved childhood trauma, and it caught up to me and was like, girl, you need to do your inner work. And at the wrong time, right? Obviously, classically. I was also going through narcissistic abuse. My partner and I, we had a very good relationship and a very bad relationship. The highs were high and the lows were low. It was emotional, it was spiritual, it was mental. The vibrant, robust person that I am today and elements of who I was in the past slowly died as it was siphoned out of my body. I became nobody, just like Oscar from Shark Tale. Think about that. Who's going to love me when I'm a nobody, right? Like that scene where Oscar says that. That's who I became. I became nobody. So if you add those together, right, what was going on professionally was a weight on my world. What was going on personally was another layer to my life. I couldn't really focus on sisterhood or friendships, and I engaged in isolation because I always have my back. I can pick myself up. I will be the one who will solve my problems, right? I can't do it. I have to do it alone. So what happens here is that I move from going and living a life like that to resetting into going from burnout to brilliance. And the way that I do it is I embody feminine leadership. That's number one. Embodying feminine leadership means that I am taking the light feminine energy that is consistent of me being creative, me being joyous, me being nurturing, and taking that as a strength instead of a weakness like I have before, right? When I was a people pleaser and I let everybody else take my power away. My dark feminine energy is what I'm embracing, becoming fearless and becoming passionate. And that is one of the ways I embody feminine leadership. The second part was increasing my wealth. So I left my toxic job. I left my toxic boyfriend. I went from making $41,000 to $60,000 within 2 months of breaking up with my Dusty, period. And that was really exciting because I was tired of being broke. And then the last part is that I focused on building sacred sisterhood. Sacred sisterhood is an incredibly powerful pillar of support that you never have imagined. It's having sisters that feel like home. They're the gap of all the other relationships that you don't have. Before, during, and after your relationships, before marriage or divorce, if somebody passes away, at every point of our life, We need sacred sisterhood. So if you reset this way, you will never have a midlife crisis or an existential crisis again. And that's how I've become brilliant.
I'm like, keep going, and then the end. Wow, wow.
Oh, I can, but I didn't know if I met the time.
Yes, no, you've just shared quite a few nuggets. You've shared on the secret sisterhood that is non-negotiable to you, and you've shared why high-achieving women of color need emotionally safe community in order for them to rise sustainably, and how true elevation begins when we stop pretending that, you know what, we are doing it all alone. That's when like the true elevation begins. That, you know what, I need help. I need help. If I need help, just speak up. You need help. You've shared on how you moved from the narcissistic abuse to a powerhouse that you are today, because you've shared on your personal transformation story of turning pain into power, the way you've just decided to take ownership of your own life. Alexis, thank you so much for sharing such a profound, much needed message. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now we are going to Chicago, where we have Elizabeth Plenson. Did I say it? Okay? Okay, I'm like, okay, Plenson, I said it right. So Elizabeth Plenson is an intuitive spiritual mentor, soul purpose activator, and a healer devoted to helping women awaken their intuitive gifts, embody their purpose, and step into their most radiant magnetic selves. Her signature method combines light language, energy healing, somatic work, and psychic guidance to help clients activate their soul purpose, regulate their nervous system, release subconscious blocks, and manifest the abundance, impact, and joy their soul came here to experience. She's the founder of Radiance, a high frequency monthly portal for soul activation, embodiment, and expansion. Elizabeth is also an international best-selling author of the book Manifesting with Purpose, and she lives near Chicago with her husband, 2 young daughters, and 3 rescued pups. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Elizabeth Plenson.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with you all today. And so I wanted to share with you today all about finding your soul purpose, like your deep inner purpose. And this really obviously resonates with me with what I'm doing, but there was a point in my life 5 years ago where I started to get this feeling, this urge, this nudge that I was supposed to be doing something other than I was doing. And at the time, I had been working with my mom for about 15 years at that point, straight out of college, worked in her company in association management. And I was supposed to take over her company when she retired. And it was going to be, you know, a comfortable, very well-paying job, and I would be pretty set. But it began to feel like just this was not fulfilling for me. I dreaded sometimes going. It was a toxic environment at times, not with my mom, but the industry we were in. And I knew that there was something more I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be helping people in some way. And so, of course, it's scary to, when you have that feeling, and to leave the comforts of what you're currently doing and start something new. But I knew I had to do it. And my mom was very supportive of me when I told her my plans and what I was, you know, that I wanted to find what lit me up, like what was my passion, what was something that fulfilled me. So I really just began to open myself up and explore to find what that was. And so I wanted just to give you guys, you know, share some tips with you. If you find yourself in this position where you're starting to feel like whatever it is that you're doing is not for you anymore, it's not lighting you up, you're dreading going, it's like the hamster wheel and you're not happy, you're not finding joy in what it is that you are doing every day, you don't have to continue to do that. You can find something that actually lights you up, because that is going to be what you're really here to do. But first and foremost, talking about soul purpose, we can get really wrapped up in this like thing that we do. Like, what is it that we're here to do? Because trust me, I've been there. I would sit there and ask every day, just tell me what I'm supposed to do, to spirit, right? Tell me what I'm supposed to do here. but realizing down the road that our main purpose as a soul, as a human in this world, is to experience life, of everything that you have in your life to the fullest, and to expand and to grow. And so we can do this in many ways, but really just when you start to have anxiety or, frustrations about like not feeling fulfilled and you're not finding that purpose and you don't know what it is, remember to come back to the present, coming back to enjoying life every single day, because it's not about the destination, of course, it's about the journey. So I always tell clients that I meet with, that is first and foremost your soul purpose. And then of course there are things that your soul, really came here to do, how to help the world, how to expand, how to be of service of others. If you're having that pull, it's not by accident. It's for a reason. It's because it's time in your life to finally step into that higher purpose, that thing that you're supposed to be, quote unquote, doing to be of service, to help others, to light up the world, to make an impact. So really, first and foremost, then you can go and follow what lights you up. What makes your energy soar? What is it that you're passionate about? What gets you giddy anytime you experience it or talk about it or think about it? And if you don't know what that is because you've been so long in this same thing, or you're doing the same thing every day and listening to what everyone tells you to do, which is where I also was, allow yourself to start exploring different classes or books, or just opening yourself up to receiving the guidance and the synchronicities. That was another big thing I did, was asking Spirit, show me what I'm supposed to do here. And for me, it was really following the breadcrumbs. It was allowing myself to become aware of the different things that came into my environment, different mentors, different classes, and taking those risks and trying something new, getting uncomfortable and pushing yourself beyond of what you normally would do, right? Listen to your inner whispers. Listen to your inner voice, taking some time to actually go inward instead of looking to the outside world to tell you what to do or what you're here to do. Take some time to sit in meditation or stillness or journaling or out in nature. And again, asking the question, what is it that I am here to do? Or better yet, how can I serve others? What can I do to help others in a big way that's going to make an impact? And allow those messages to come through. And if they don't come right then and there, trust and know that they will come eventually down the road. And it could be, later that day in an intuitive hit while you're in the shower or while you're taking a walk or in the car, or it can be a week from then when something comes into your mind that would be really fun to do. Another thing you can do is take an account of what are the things that you're really good at. What are the things that people come to you for advice for, and like what they want your help with? Those are also like your soul gifts that you haven't really tapped into maybe yet fully. Like I always knew I was intuitive. I always knew that I had these psychic abilities, and I didn't get to develop them until later in life. And also you can use the things that you have been through, the challenges you have been through, which I'm sure David's going to talk to us about. It was your pain, right? These struggles you've been through, these actually could be a way to help you go through to find what is your soul purpose, just as I did. So I just wanted to share a couple of tips with you to, try to explore. And also you can find a guide, a mentor, a teacher to help you develop these skills that maybe you feel like you could have. And I wouldn't be where I am today without the mentors that I had to help me lead through all of these processes. Like I said, for me, it was following the breadcrumbs, and it evolved. My purpose evolved over the last 5 years. I went from, just developing my psychic abilities to becoming a certified manifestation and mindset coach, and now a soul purpose activator, healer, combining all of these things together to really feel lit up and fulfilled in my work. So just follow the breadcrumbs, open yourself up to guidance, and really look at the things that light you up the most.
Woo! Elizabeth just dropped the mic. Follow the breadcrumbs. Yes. Finding your own soul purpose, because you don't have to continue doing things that no longer pleases you. You don't have to trap yourself in that hamster wheel. You keep on running, but you've got no direction of whatsoever where exactly are you going? You don't see the light, you don't see the direction where you are going. But instead, you know what? It's high time you invest in coaching, you invest in mentorship, because you need someone who's going to hold you accountable for your own actions. That's exactly what Elizabeth decided to do. And look where she is today. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing such a profound, much needed message. Thank you.
Thank you.
So from Chicago, we are going all the way to Australia, where we have David Starlight. David G. Starlight is a contemplative psychotherapist, Buddhist counselor, and globally recognized spiritual guide with over 2 decades of experience across Asia and beyond. David blends ancient Mahayana Buddhist wisdom with modern therapeutic modalities to support healing from complex trauma, emotional I've never seen this word.
Enmeshment.
Okay, emotional enmeshment and spiritual disconnection. His unique approach supports sensitive, intuitive individuals, especially women, in navigating relational wounds, reclaiming boundaries, and living with greater compassion and clarity. A former naturopath with a postgraduate training in applied Buddhist studies and mental health, David's own healing journey has shaped his mission to help others transform suffering into sacred purpose. He offers one-on-one sessions, global retreats, and live talks focused on mindful presence, emotional freedom, and soul level healing. David is also a published academic and contributor to the fields of Buddhist psychotherapy, spiritual ecology, and trauma recovery. So, kings and queens, please join me and welcome David G. Starlight.
Thank you so much. And I was listening to that and I was thinking, wow, it's a story and we all have many stories. And for me, I'm almost like people throw labels at me. Sometimes I also write my own biography. Oh, this label, that label. And really, I'm a person without labels. And I think we all are. We're many labels. And we can keep finding new labels. There's always something new. I find human evolution seems to be constantly, there's a new framing, there's something new. So emotional enmeshment, that's kind of, you mentioned, I haven't heard that before. That's awesome. Nobody is a label and nobody is the pain. Nobody is the trauma. Nobody is the abuse. Nobody is the narcissism. We are way beyond all of that. We are souls having a human experience. We are boundlessness. However, we also in a physical body. So we in this physical vessel, this physical container. So I love everyone talking and I love that biography. I just felt that was really coming out of me at the time. And the title I sent was From Wound to Wisdom, which was really about a journey. And the thing that really resonated with what Elizabeth was saying was that everyone is on a journey and there isn't a wrong or a right, and we cannot replicate someone else exactly because no one is like us. We are unique people. And I grew up in Africa, so that's something, it's not entirely unique, but in Australia, that's something different. And as I said, there's nothing wrong or right about that. It is a journey and everyone's on a unique journey. So embracing your uniqueness is really, really important. In terms of pain, I had a lot of pain. I grew up with physical pain, but also issues of emotional enmeshment, narcissistic abuse, and very much childhood neglect where my sense of self was not really recognized. I was kind of left alone and neglected. Like a lot of people, our parents are working. Often both our parents are working. If we do have two parents, I think something like 50% of kids these days are in single parent families. So my message is that the wound is a breakthrough, a potential for a breakthrough, a portal to awakening. It doesn't necessarily have to break you. It can become a spiritual initiation into inner work, inner healing, and transformation. So the greater the pain, the greater the potential for transformation. And I always think of Mike Tyson as someone who symbolizes this for some reason, because he has so much catharsis in him and so much greatness in him, but also so much rage, so much pain, so much despair. And this podcast, this show is about rising up. It's about stopping running from the pain and listening to it, attuning to it. The journey from victimhood to wisdom requires self-compassion. It requires one to let go, to surrender. So trauma is not a life sentence. It is almost like a doorway you can walk through to help you awaken, to initiate you into greatness, into something way beyond. And with my Buddhist study, the power of presence is really significant. Presence is essentially being here fully, immersing yourself in the only moment that is in front of you. And if in terms of therapeutic relationships, I'm a deep listener and a compassionate listener, and I bring that presence into that therapeutic relationship. And that's really important in how we treat ourselves and in how we treat the people in our lives, bringing a type of sacred container or sacred presence into all our relationships. This is very much inspired by Buddhism, by Buddhist psychotherapists. A lot of you would have heard of mindfulness, of non-judgmental awareness, perhaps. But bringing ourselves into each one of our relationships, and primarily bringing presence into our relationship to ourselves. It's about not just feeling, but hearing your own pain, hearing other people's pain, and allowing it to integrate, allowing it to unravel, allowing it to dissolve into the great ether around us, the great universe we live in. So trauma is very real. But this sacred vessel, sacred container of awareness, of presence, allows it to unfold and unravel. And that is a soul level transformation, not just symptom relief, not just surface level relief. So I guess I've probably talked a lot already, so I will stop. But great to be on the show and great to be able to share with all of you. Thank you.
Oh, Dr. Rial, you're muted.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. I always do that. I'm saying, what a profound, much needed message you've shared from your experience, from actually womb to wisdom, how your early life trauma and emotional abandonment shaped the calling that you have today as a healer. And you've also shared on how you actually decided to break that cycle, how you've decided to turn your personal suffering into the sacred service that you are doing today. You are helping as many lives as much as you can from your pain. You decided not to define yourself with that pain that you experienced, the trauma that you experienced, but you were like, you know what, it's high time now I help heal the world with my very own humanity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David, for sharing such a much needed message. I'll go back and watch the replay, by the way. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So from Australia, we are coming back to Arizona, where we have Angela Gomez. Angela Gomez is a money mindset and business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs and visionary women ready to break generational cycles, lead with confidence, and build widely wealthy lives. Through subconscious reprogramming, energetics, and magnetic marketing strategies, she helps her clients go from undercharging and unseen to fully expressed, fully booked, and financially free. Angela is the creator of the Magnetic Successful Formula, a transformational framework that blends wealth, energetics, identity, work, and authentic visibility. Her mission is simple: empower women to lead and live from their highest self. So, kings and queens, please join me and welcome Angela Gomez.
Thank you so much. Beautiful introduction. So happy to be here. So today what I really wanted to talk about was the real reason why you're not making money in your business, and maybe from a perspective that maybe you haven't thought about, or what most people don't really talk about. And so if, you know, a lot of people, when it comes to building their business, they think about strategy, right? And the thing is, like, if strategy was the answer, I think a lot of us would already be pretty wealthy by now. If we really think about it, like, you know, for just a second, like, how many business courses have you bought? Like, how many freebies have you downloaded that are just sitting there that you're like hoping that it's going to hack the algorithm for you? And the thing is, something that I realized with working with other people is that, you know, most entrepreneurs are not really failing because they're lazy, or that they don't necessarily have a plan. They fail because they're kind of trapped in this hustle mentality, right? They become sucked into like chasing the algorithm, and like I said before, downloading every freebie, hoping that it's going to be the secret hack to their business and making all this money and making the impact that they want to make. And so in reality, when you get sucked into that type of cycle, you end up self-sabotaging, and you end up losing sight of like what your why is and your mission. And I know this cycle very personally because, you know, I went through that myself. And in 2023, you know, everything in my world was crumbling. And when I say that, I mean, it really was. You know, I was going through job losses, evictions, and even, you know, surviving on food stamps and stuff like that. And during that time, like, I had the strategy. I mean, I had the content, I had the offers, I had the certifications and the licenses. But yeah, at the end of the day, I kept feeling like so exhausted. I was underpaid, and I was just waiting for like that big breakthrough moment that was like not coming. I was like, what is going on here? Where's the gap? Like, what's going on? And what I didn't realize in that moment, when I was in the midst of all this chaos in my life, was that I was pretty much operating from fear. I was operating from survival and from a very wounded identity of myself, that, you know, within me, like, I was believing like I couldn't have it all. It was basically the wounded identity that I had. And then I started to like really reflect and really look at myself and at my life. Like, how did I get to this point? Like, why am I at this moment? And that's when I started to realize that, you know, I was doing my business based off an old formula. And it's an old formula that we all have been taught, you know, since we were kids and everything like that, going through school and going into society. And basically what that old formula is what it tells you is, do the work so you can have the results, and then eventually you'll become the person you want to be. And so the thing with that old formula is that it's all about doing more, hustling more, and then maybe you'll earn your worth, and maybe one day you'll feel that successful and wealthy identity. But what I realized is that formula is the old paradigm. That's the old way of doing things. And there's a better way to do things and approach your business and approach your life in general. And so the new formula that was a game changer for me, and that really shifted my life from, you know, dealing with evictions and dealing with food stamps and dealing with job losses at that time, was that I realized that I had to be the version who already has all identity. you naturally start to do what's actually required to push you forward in your business, in your life. And then that's when you start to see the results that you've been wanting to see for the longest time. And honestly, when I started to operate in that way and really like ask myself these deeper questions, which I'm going to get into in a moment, that really shifted my business. And I started to work with clients who were international. And then I started to make more money in my business. I got a better paying job that was really good for my nervous system and everything. So everything was starting to align when I started to operate from this new formula, because I realized, that success is not necessarily doing more. It's really about showing up from that new identity that you want to embody, that you want to become in your business. It's about learning to not be to be a version of you that no longer needs to prove themselves, that no longer needs to chase after things, that no longer needs to like perform, right? You're simply just owning your zone of genius. You're choosing and deciding to lead your life, and you're opening yourself up to receive more. And so a way that you can implement this new formula into your business is by asking yourself, like, who's the version of you that's running your business right now? If you're struggling with making money, if you're struggling with, getting leads in your business or having those consistent months, you have to come back to yourself and ask yourself, like, who's the version of me that's running this business? Is it the version that doubts herself, that undercharges, that overthinks every single move and then doesn't even make the decision because you're overthinking too much? Because that version is going to operate and it's going to like respond to life in a very different way versus the version of you that leads with confidence, that makes the bold decisions and expects to win and to be greater than the circumstances around them. And so when it comes to your business, like I was saying, like most people don't really need more content or more strategy. And if you actually speak or even just read books on the most successful entrepreneurs out there, they will tell you that strategy is really just 20% of the game and mindset is 80% of the game. And so what I want to leave with you guys is that, it's not just about taking action. It's more about like embodied action, shifting into who you're being while you're building your business. And that's how you're going to become more magnetic, because your energy is going to amplify and just be so much different. That's how you're going to be able to attract the money, the soul aligned clients, and the right opportunities into your life. So thank you so much.
Wow, Angela. I'm still writing notes. I'm like, oh my goodness. From what I'm learning from you, the formula that you are using, the strategy that we believe it works for us. You've mentioned that the real reason why we are not making money in our business is because we think running a business is all about strategy, when in reality that is only about 20% of it, and the other 80% is all about our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
When and you ask us, where are we operating from? Our lower self or our higher self? You've also explained a little bit of what it means, what that means, and that have been how we are using the old formula in business. And you've also shared your story on how you actually got caught up in the strategy of the hustle culture until your world was like crumbling back in 2023. And by the time you had to make that decision, decision that just took you where you are today. Today, you are such a powerhouse. You are the one who is working with the go-getters, the change makers, the trailblazers. Wow, what a profound, much needed message. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing such a profound, much needed message. Thank you. Oh my goodness. So to our audience online, oh my goodness, I'm just on fire. I hope you can see it, because this powerhouse that we have here, they've dropped all the nuggets on how you can actually rise to greater heights. So to our audience online, I can see Benoit watching. I can see Annalie. I can see Mariah. She's saying overworked. And Stella Goodwill is saying that childhood trauma And Kumo Africa is saying, well done, Dr. Kunene. Thank you, Kumo. And Princess Sebe is saying that we are unique. I believe that our audience really have been inspired by all of the amazing messages. So to our audience online, if you happen to have any questions for Alexis, if you happen to have any questions for Elizabeth, David, Angela, please drop your questions in the chat box. We're going to attend to your questions at the end of the podcast. So it's not going to be a show without me showing up and showing off. So I'm going to be, let me just stop the timer here. I'm going to be the next and final speaker. But before I speak, what I'm going to do, perfect timing. Good. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna share my bio with you and then I'll come back and speak. So please do enjoy. I'll come back and speak. I want you, as you think about your dreams and goals, to put this down. Rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights, because you need to be clear about your career goals in order for you to gain guidance on professional development. Really, my goal as a mentor or as a coach, it's so simple. My goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs and other potential obstacles that you might be facing, and then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to pursue success and drive sustainability. I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Riel and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. Mom. So I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Riel and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights.
Dr. Nampumelelo Rial Kunene is an international human rights policy analyst who consults on policies and procedures related to human rights compliance. She is a highly sought-after, energetic, certified Lace Brown international speaker. This passionate leader holds a PhD with a discipline in leadership and business. Dr. Rial N. Kunene is the author and host to Rise to Greater Heights, a book and YouTube channel to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. She is also a coach, mentor, and an MC, well known for encouraging many to rise from mediocrity into greatness. Her vision is not only to motivate, but also to empower audiences with a fresh perspective inspiration they require to pursue success and drive sustainable outcomes. In a seriously funny way, Dr. Kunene is an award-winning author, 10 times #1 Amazon and international best-selling author. Her #1 best-selling book, Rise to Greater Heights, has inspired and empowered many to pursue their personal and professional passion to become go-getters. As a trainer, diplomacy protocol officer, and strategist, Rial believes that we are in full control of our choices. Her mission is to meet the needs and transform lives of her clients and her audience. She is also a true advocate for creating new policies that uphold human rights and prevent human rights violations. Dr. Kunene's purpose is to teach everyone about human rights and help organizations understand and promote human rights. Her goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs, then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to achieve specific outcomes in your life. This change